Yeah? Huh? Yeah? Okay. I was like, I can't tell if I'm hearing myself through the headphones or what.
You're good.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
307 Rams.
Yeah.
I'm Chris. That's Matt.
Yeah.
And we just want to say thank you all for showing up every day, every week. And
Yeah. Oh, hey.
just
That's
sharing
nice.
all the love, man.
Oh, wow. If our lighting situation looks a little bit different, it's because our lighting situation is a little different. More
Yes.
about that later in a short at some point. But yeah,
Yep.
our shadow boxes have changed and evolved and upgraded. They're digital now. It's great.
Yeah.
So anyways, now that thanks for coming to the Cribs edition of 307 Reacts.
Tour.
It's a short tour. Yeah, you're looking at it. This is it. On the screen in front of us, we have our dude Jordan Peterson once
Yes.
again, and I know we've had him on the channel like once a week for 3 weeks now or something like that.
Yeah.
We like his content. We're gonna keep diving into it because I think it's good stuff and it's inspirational and it's thought provoking and then some of it's a little compelling and I think it makes for good content, right?
It is.
So
it's definitely inspires conversation.
So this one, let's see. Jordan Peterson leaves the audience speechless / one of the best motivational speeches ever. So let's get motivated, shall we, people? Let's get motivated to like, comment, subscribe, shall we, people? I've been noticing it across multiple YouTube channels, even professionals. So I'm gonna go ahead and just jump on the bandwagon here. If you guys could do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Our subscribers have been a little bit flat the last couple of months, and this is a thing that's going around YouTube all over the place. Glenn Fricker's the same way. Warren Hewart's going through it.
It's just that time of year.
It's just slowing down. People are starting to, like get in the holiday spirit and not spending as much time doing the internet thing. So please, please keep subscribing. We really appreciate it, every single one of you, and we're trying to work our way towards 30,000. So, and eventually towards 50,000. That's a ways away, but one small step at a time. So, like, comment, subscribe.
Anyway, we're on our road to 1 million. So,
road to 1 million. I just start putting that in the description. Like, people are like, wait, what? Huh? Was it 250K? Oh no, 25K. Oh,
gotcha.
Boys, you got some work to do.
We're on the road to 1 million.
Yes, we do.
Let's go.
Let's see what Jordan Peterson has to say. Here we go.
Enjoy the big Peterson.
These people that you're comparing yourself to, you don't really know very well.
True.
What that means is
true.
that you see their shiny outside, but you don't see the reality of their life.
This is going to be good.
There's always people out there who are doing far better than you on pretty much anything you want to imagine. And if all you're doing is seeing yourself in their reflected light, let's say, then it's going to be pretty damn dismal. But it's not a good comparison because, well, first of all, there's danger in just comparing yourself to others, period, because they're not you. And God only knows what struggles they had to undertake to get to where they were, or what burdens they're currently carrying that you're not aware of. But you can certainly contrast yourself with yourself.
Yes.
And that's a lot better. It is the only way. Well, it's also the only way of really measuring anything approximating proper improvement. You can actually tell when you're a little better than you were yesterday.
Right.
And you can actually do that. That's another thing that's so interesting about it, is that you can actually make yourself a little better in some way, pretty much, well, I don't know if it's at every moment, but you can certainly do it every day. Be careful who you share good news with, because you want to share good news with people who are going to be genuinely happy for you, and be careful who you share bad news with, because that's equally tricky. You want someone who will listen to you when you're having trouble and allow you your grief. Beauty calls people to their higher being, I would say, and to make friends with beauty is to introduce yourself very carefully to one of the mysteries of life that make it worth living. There's never been a better time for the majority of people to be alive. And the future, although we're vulnerable and terrible things can always happen to us, it's hard to make a case that the future doesn't look comparatively positive. We're becoming extremely technologically sophisticated, and the world is changing at an incredibly rapid rate, and the only way we're going to be able to manage that in a positive way is if each of us, or as many of us as possible, are capable of making wise and careful and truthful decisions. And if we do that, then maybe things can continue to improve. You don't get people to stand up on their own 2 feet and to adopt responsibility if everything is given to them. And that's a real conundrum. You know, maybe you're in California, see someone speeding down the road in a convertible Porsche, and you think, oh man, what a lucky bastard. And the truth of the matter is that he's thinking about wrapping his expensive sports car around the next cement pillar that he comes close to. You know, you can't tell, and people have hard lives, and even people who are comparatively fortunate have hard lives. And
dude, it's such a powerful thing of him to say at the very beginning. Like, it's dangerous to compare yourselves to other people in the first place, because first and foremost, you don't know what they're dealing with internally. You don't know what struggles they have going on or have been through in their life to get to where they're at this point. And it doesn't make much sense to do it that way anyways. But comparing yourself to yourself, man, like, that's so powerful. Like, even thinking about it in my own terms, you know, like,
what's it, Steve Harvey or
probably, I don't know. You like him? I know you like him.
It's Steve Harvey or somebody else, I don't remember, but they always say, man, don't compare yourself to other people. He goes, because you're not them, they're not you. As long as you're doing better than you were yesterday, then you're doing good.
And it can be really hard not to compare yourself to other people, especially, you know, like in this situation where he's saying, you know, let's say you're driving down the road and you see someone in a nice car. That happens all over the place in Wyoming. People drive really nice cars around here all the time. And oftentimes they'll drive by and go, man, that's such a nice car, man. It's so lucky. Like, must be nice, you know, that kind of thing. Must be nice. But it's like, you got to remember that in most of those situations, most of the time, those people have money against those vehicles. It's not something that's like,
either that or it's that guy with, you know, a wife and 2 kids at home, and he's gone 3 weeks at a time on an oil rig and working his ass off and being miserable,
making
in the
great
cold
money, but he has no life because of it. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
For sure. So like, he gets to enjoy a sports car, but at what cost? You know, like that kind of thing, for sure. So it's and I guess a more relatable experience around here would be to like see somebody in a full on like overlanding situation. You know, they got their boat
or like a decked out truck.
Yeah, their boat on their nice trailer pulled by their really nice Tacoma that's lifted and has all this extra outlanding gear on it, and they're like geared up, and you see them heading out of town, and you're like, you lucky son of a bitch. And it's like, well, you don't know. Maybe that guy's like, this is his midlife crisis, and that guy's got $100 and something thousand loan against all that stuff, and like he's gonna take it out for the 60 days that he can get away with it without paperwork, and then, you know, go from there and see what happens.
Be in financial ruin.
Exactly.
For the rest of
So
his life.
who knows? But comparing yourself to yourself, like, you know, financially, if you're in a more positive place this time of year than you were last year, you know, like that is an awesome scale to compare yourself on, because that will make you feel gratified so much faster than comparing yourself to Dick and Jane and, you know, what is it, Keeping Up with the Joneses or whatever. You know, it'll make yourself so much more gratified if you can compare to yourself and go, man, I'm in such a better place than I was 6 months ago, or like,
dude, you know, last year this time last year I still owed $6,000 worth of tool debt, and or actually a little more than that, about $8,000, and this year done.
I wouldn't even. I mean, I was lost in a car payment and stuff, and like I had my finances spread out all over the place, and I had multiple credit cards and stuff going on, and like this year, I just told you right before this, we've got like a few paychecks left, and it's like we have nothing left to pay for. Everything's back down to zero. Like, we're in a place, which is personally a place that I've never really been before. In my adult life, I've never really been at a point where it's like, you turn the corner and it's like, oh, there's not a bill waiting for me. There's not a this waiting for me. It's like everyone's just quiet, and that's such a great place to be in. So
it is.
Comparing yourself to yourself, it was just a really positive. I was like, man, that's a powerful way to look at it, man. Just like Jordan Peterson is, you know, like very philosophical and makes these points where you're like, yeah, dude, that's smart. You okay over there?
Itching, bro.
Oh, from your tattoo. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Speaking of, that's something I tell Ken all the time. She's like, man, you know, she was telling me the other day, she's like, man, I just don't feel like I deserve this, like, opportunity and position and whatever that she's getting. And I'm like, but dude, like, you've worked your ass off for this. Like, and I told her, I was like, if we got everything that we feel we deserve, like, a lot of people would have everything they ever wanted, and other people would have not shit. And like, here's the thing. Your art from the time that we started dating 2 years ago to now has improved so significantly, like she doesn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you just got to compare it day to time.
Compare to yourself over a period of time, and as long as you're making personal gains and improvements, man, you're doing just fine. Yeah, that's for sure. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what else he has to say.
And even people who are comparatively fortunate have hard lives.
Sorry, I was gonna say that.
And with that,
but he mentioned that right before we paused. Like, people who are fortunate with hard lives. I was thinking about it today on my lunch. I was watching Ryan Upchurch. He was talking about Thanksgiving. He didn't go over to his family's place.
I watched that video today also, where he had the quarrel with his family member or whatever,
And, you know, that's the thing. People look at it, man, he has everything everywhere. I bet you he's got his family all over to his place. And no, like, that's not the way it is.
He literally, right at the
And,
beginning,
like,
he's like, I'm here for the people who didn't do a Thanksgiving. I didn't. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't he admits right
Yeah.
off the bat, he's like, my Thanksgiving was a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
So
It just goes to show, like, you can look at somebody's life from the outside and not have a fucking clue what's going on.
for sure. And
Like,
that's typically the case that I've found anyways through my personal experiences. That's what you normally find. Like someone can post and make themselves look glamorous and like
Yeah.
everything's totally fine, but you find out very quickly that is not the actual case of what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, like people will work very hard to put up a front for something to cover up.
Now that's not to say our church put up a front.
No,
but,
no,
you know, he'll leave his family stuff with his family stuff, and I get that.
He got then that's the thing. He's not putting up because he got on YouTube right away
Yeah.
and was like, "Hey, so
for
just to
him,
let you
it's
know,
just like, hey, man, I'm gonna level with you. I'm just like you guys.
yeah, like
you know what I mean, like,
I'm having family issues also. You know,
Yeah.
I have these dickhead cousins who don't want anything from me but my money and my fucking name attached to them, and I don't like that. You know, so
Yeah.
same
Anyway.
thing. Let's go.
And the ideal
3-second play
that
there.
you're observing that makes you jealous and resentful is in large part an illusion that's created by your own mind. You have to be careful of what you're jealous of because you don't really know what it is.
Yeah,
And then the other thing that's kind of useful is to understand you're quite different from other people, and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to them because they're not like you.
Yeah.
They don't have your family. They don't have your temperament. They don't have your troubles. They don't have your abilities. The only person that has those is you. One of the rules, I think it's rule 4, is compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today. And see, that's a game you can win. The possibility that you can make yourself slightly better on a continual basis is, I think that's something that's accessible to everyone. I think that's equivalent to leading a virtuous life. And there is something to be said for virtue and truth. You know, and that is one thing. Another thing that I've noticed about people who've been phenomenally successful is that they really do everything they can to live a truthful life. And you can get a bloody long ways by being honest.
Yeah.
You got to know that there are differences in intelligence. It's really important. If you go into a job and you're not smart enough for that job, you're going to have one bloody miserable time. And you're going to make life wretched for the people around you because you won't be able to handle the position. But what you really want to do, as far as I can tell, if you want to maximize your chances for both success and let's say well-being, is you want to find a strata of occupation in which you would have an intelligence that would put you in the upper quartile. That's perfect. Then you're a big fish in a small pond. And you don't want to be the stupidest guy in the room. It's a bloody rough place to be. So, and you probably don't want to be the smartest guy in the room either, because what that probably means is you should be in a different room. If you want to be the best at what you're doing, bar none, then having an IQ of above 145 is a necessity, and maybe you're pushing 160 in some situations.
I was going to say the opposite could be, so when at the beginning there, when he was saying that when you go to apply for a job and you're not smart enough for the job, you're going to have a miserable time and you're going to make everyone around you miserable because you don't have the skills capable of doing that.
Yeah.
The same could be said for the opposite side of that, where if you go to a job and you're too smart for that job, you're also going to make everyone else miserable around you because you're going to have expectations of people that they're not aware of, you know, because you're too far advanced. Like he said, you should be in a different room, you know, like you don't belong in this part because like these people are still acquiring those skills that you clearly already have. So like why are you in this area? You know, so like
and I'll tell you, like I've worked at shops where I was the smartest dude in the room, and let me tell you, that ain't a good thing. Okay,
that's another. You should be in a different
if I'm
room.
the smartest one in the room,
everyone's in trouble.
That room is going down. Okay, but no, that's the thing I like about working where I work now is that, you know, the nice thing between me and Mason is we're both very good at different things.
Yeah,
and so, but then Jason is like, you know, God, dude, he's so fucking smart. But then Jason will come to me on stuff like it's nice because we all specialize in different things, which makes it nice to work with.
For sure.
Creates a good work environment.
You need someone who can do a certain thing fast so that when that comes to you, you can be like, hey, this guy over here, he can make it work and do the thing.
Hey, man, I see you working on it. Watch out for this because I don't know if you know, but like.
You got to watch out for this, that, and the other,
And maybe that's making you one person in 10,000 or even one person in 100,000. And then also, to really be good at it, you probably have to be reasonably stress tolerant and also somewhat conscientious. Why is it that smart people are at the top of dominance hierarchies? And the answer to that in part is because they get there first. Right? I mean, everything's a race, roughly speaking. And the faster you are, the more likely you are to be at the forefront of the pack. And intelligence in large part is speed. That's not all of it is. So if you're moving towards something difficult rapidly, the faster people are going to get there first. You're going to have to put some effort into your life. And you need to be motivated to do that.
Yes.
And so what are the potential sources of motivation? Well, you could think about them in the big five manner. You know, if you're extroverted, you want friends. If you're agreeable, you want an intimate relationship. If you're disagreeable, you want to win competitions. If you're open, you want to engage in creative activity. If you're high in neuroticism, you want security. Okay, so those are all sources of potential motivation that you could draw on, that you could tailor to your own, your own personality. But then there are dimensions that you want to consider your life across. And so we ask people about, well, if you could have your life the way you wanted it in 3 to 5 years, if you were taking care of yourself properly, what would you want from your friendships? What would you want from your intimate relationship? How would you like to structure your family? What do you want for your career? Well, how are you going to use your time outside of your job? And how are you going to regulate your mental and physical health, and maybe also your drug and alcohol use, because that's a good place to auger down. And that tangles in your incentive reward system. We talked about the dopaminergic incentive reward system, and that's the thing that keeps you moving forward. And the way it works is that it works better if it produces positive emotion when it can see you moving towards a valued goal. Okay, well, what's the implication of that? Better have a valued goal, because otherwise you can't get any positive motivation. Most creative people fail at producing their creative product and monetizing it, right? So your default position, if you're a creative person, is you're going to fail. And that's because it's hard to come up with something new, and it's hard to present it to the market at the right time, and it's hard to market it. Like, those things are really, really difficult. And so what successful entrepreneurs do is they just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And eventually, if they're fortunate, one of their ideas happens to hit the right place at the right time. Even if your idea is good, that doesn't mean it will be successful. Yeah. There's so many things that have to be taken into account. So this is partly why persistence, and that's part of conscientiousness, is so useful. It's like persistence is helpful because it enables you to run many, many experiments. And you need to know that the baseline is failure. Yeah. It's important, because otherwise you'll blame that on yourself. And some of that's useful because there's probably some things that you could improve about yourself. But it's very difficult to go from 0 to 1.
Man.
Wow.
Okay, let me try and
capture some thoughts.
The thing about being a creative, and like it's so relevant with people like us, because we do the thing every single day. And I love that he goes into, this being a successful entrepreneur is doing the thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And we say it all the time. I said it when you walked into the house tonight. This is the conversation I had with Chris when he walked into the house. So, what's up? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, because it snowed a lot today. It's shitty out. Yeah. The roads suck. It's terrible.
Everybody's playing a game of which lane am I in?
Yeah, it was a shitty drive home. It's dangerous out there, and it's exhausting. So I was just talking, and I was like, man, I was like, I had the text message typed out. I was like, man, do you want to just shoot on Tuesday, Wednesday? And then sitting there before I messaged him, I was like, what good does it do if I text him Tuesday, Wednesday, even if he says yes? First of all, he's gonna show up tonight anyways, because he planned on showing up tonight for reactions. And if we're not doing reactions, well, now it's an open night that I can come over and edit. So he's going to be here in the first place, first and foremost. Secondly, if we don't shoot reactions tonight, well, then we just have to do them on Wednesday. And then now that just puts another assignment later on in my week. That's something that I wasn't necessarily looking forward to doing in the first place. So now it just becomes this glooming, it becomes bigger and bigger of an issue because I'm putting it off, right? And it's like, well, let's just do it. Let's just get it done. And then here we are, and everything's going really well, and everything's fine. It's just, it's a crazy relatable thing where you know, like as a creative, you have to do the thing over and over and over and over again. And because marketing that kind of stuff is really hard.
It is.
And that's why, like, even
Brandon Ferris said it in the one video we reference all the time. Just if you're a content creator or a musician or what, just start. And once you start, don't stop.
Yep.
Because you'll probably put out. God, we put out close to 600 videos by now.
Yeah.
And we're not famous. You know what I mean? We're not doing this full time. We're not.
It is funny to go to the local bars and people who know about our channel in town.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I go to the bars now and like, you know, someone will come up and they're like, "Hey man, it's you're doing the YouTube thing now, huh?" And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, "Cool, man." It's like YouTube thing, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And that's kind of the conversation kind of dies because they don't really know like what goes into it or like what we're doing or anything like that. But it is kind of funny. Some people are like, "Oh yeah, you're doing like the YouTube thing now." So that's what I consider now as getting recognized, is walking into a local and they're like, "Oh, YouTube guy." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." You even know what the name of the channel is? No, you don't.
No, you
Just
don't.
like you don't know the name of my band. It's okay. But anyways, but it's that thing. Yeah, you have to do it over and over and over again, and hopefully one of them falls in the right time at the right place. You know, like a couple of our videos have had these crazy ramp ups in traction, like our Stephen He video. It's our most popular video.
Viewed,
we didn't even know it was doing the thing that it was doing. We released it almost a year ago, a little over a year ago now.
We released it couple months before it became a meme.
Yeah.
And then it became a meme, and that video just
It went
took
from
off.
like a couple thousand views that we had been monitoring it at to like overnight it was like 30,000 views. It just jumped up, and we didn't recognize it until it was like over 100,000 all of a sudden, and we were like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, what just happened?
We just decided to sort through our videos one day, and all of a sudden Stephen He pops up at the top, 100 and something thousand views, and we were like,
holy shit.
what? So yeah, it's just about, and I wouldn't say that's not like we didn't get paid some big check for that or something like that. It's just it's one of those things that like doing it over and over and over again. That by that time we had put out hundreds of videos.
Yeah.
And none of them had quite that traction. One of them happened to drop at the right time in the right place, and it all of a sudden had this big reaction. So he's definitely onto something with that. You know, like with an entrepreneur, you have to start a business over and over and over again and do all these different outlets, and hopefully you'll find this niche that you fit in at the right time in the right place, and that will be your success story.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen like that for everybody. That's why there are super successful corporations and successful businesses and non-successful businesses, right? So it's a lottery, man. It really is a lottery, but you can't you can't win if you don't play, right? Like that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
No, I'll tell you, it's definitely hard, especially, you know, being a musician or being a content creator.
Hard, yeah.
Coming in and literally every day doing something towards that, because there's and it's not that for this, it's not like the work is just, oh my God, dude, I got to put in 8 hours today on the like,
it's not like I'm in here sweating it out, you know, like
it's not like putting a CVT transmission in a Subaru, okay?
No.
But it's one of those. It's the consistency without knowing the outcome, right? So like, I go to work every day and I'll do a fuel pump or a water pump or a transmission and I know the outcome.
You know
the outcome
exactly how
is
those work.
The car drives, okay, or the car doesn't leak, or
hopefully,
like the outcome. When we come into the studio and we record something, we have no idea what the outcome's going to be. Like, we can take a guess, but like we don't know.
And that's most of the time what we base it off of. We're like, well, this seems to be popular right now. This kind of topic or this kind of thing seems to be popular, so we'll cover something related to that, and maybe it'll catch on. But a lot of our videos don't release until a week after we review the stuff. So by the time our video comes out related to the topic that was popular, it's a week gone or 2 weeks gone at that point. So maybe it'll still catch on, maybe it won't. I don't know. So again, it's a gamble, but that's why, you know,
it is.
I would consider us, we put a lot of chips into this gamble, you know, and sometimes it pays off. Like overall we're down. We're down, right? But like, you know, you stay in the game long enough, you know, we're just waiting for that tipping point. But
I mean, you know, people like 10410 and, you know, Joey and what he's doing. I mean, he writes his song with a lot of heart and a lot of passion and stuff, and it's hard to put those things out there. And I think the most discouraging thing is he's working on an EP. Okay, it's his first full collective,
first production. Okay,
I know that it's not going to do that well because it's his first run. right?
And me and you can see that from here.
Yeah.
We're barely into it, and we already know, like, this is not going to go over great.
Yeah.
It can be the best sounding, and it sounds great, and they're
here's
doing an
the
awesome
thing,
job.
it could sound like a professional production from Sony. It doesn't matter. It's
They're
the
doing a
first
great,
one.
they're doing a great job, and everything does sound great, and it's coming together really well. But the fact of the matter is no one knows who they are, and so it's not going to do well.
Yeah, and that's the most discouraging thing about being an artist or a content creator, is putting all your love and sweat into something just to watch it not do well, and then to wake up after that and go, okay, so what's next?
Yeah, what do we do next? And I have to keep going. I have to keep going. Like,
that's where a lot of people fall
to put
off.
out a video that you poured all, like you said, poured all your blood and tears into, and like it's this emotional thing, and you finally put it on the internet, and you're like, yes, okay, and you track it for a few days, and it gets like
17 views.
I was gonna say, it gets like 30 hits over like 2 or 3 days, and you're like, well, that's not very good. And then it doesn't do much better after that. It doesn't ever really track to 100. It kind of just floats around the 30 to 50 range, meaning no one's watched it and it's gone now at this point on the internet. Like, it's really discouraging to have to wake up and watch that over a few days and then go, all right, let's post the next one for sure. Yeah. But, I mean, that's how every musician started. That's literally how every famous musician started.
Metallica was a no-name local band somewhere at some point in time.
All were, man. Every famous rapper you've ever heard was doing rappers' delights at the local VFWs, in their hometown when they started making a name for themselves. Like, they were selling albums out of the back of their cars. You just didn't see that stuff, A, because the camera technology really wasn't as great back in the day, so you didn't get a lot of footage of that stuff, and B, because they didn't. You only know them as the famous guy after they got signed. The famous person, the famous group, artist, whatever it is, after they got signed, after they got published, after they got distributed.
Once again, you don't know what they had to do to get to where they're at,
man.
And usually it's heavy.
Back in the day, I know that back in the day with music labels and shit, dude, you had to do a lot of shit before they started putting you at like the top of their list. You could be signed to a label, but they would bury you under a bunch of other different artists because the other artists were making way more money than you, and like it's not your time yet. So you just wait and you don't make any money, and you put in tons of work for them, street teamwork and PR work and all that shit, and you don't really get anything back from it. So and you follow tours around, but you don't play them, and like you're basically just street team for your band for a year, and then you start playing shows or something like that. So
it's crazy.
I know a little bit about that from the music industry. I'm sure it exists in other areas as well. So.
I mean, tattoo artists, it's all
the whole apprenticeship thing where it's like you work your balls off and make zero money for a very long time before you can actually start
every day
money.
For 6 months.
And what do you do? Like, you do $50 bangers every single day, as many as you can do, and you do piercings. You do $20 piercings and $50 bangers, and you just
and that's after you spent the 6 months just taking out garbages and sweeping floors.
Oh yeah,
and
getting coffees, coffee runner, dude, for sure, coffee runner. So keep at it. If you're grinding on something, keep at it for sure. If it seems like it's debilitating at times, it's because it is, and it sucks sometimes. But just keep at it. It's you will wake up tomorrow and look back at the episodes you recorded the night before and go, thank God I don't have to do that Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it is. And I'm not saying I keep projecting this like I'm having a terrible time. I'm not. I'm just using that as an example of like, I didn't really feel like doing it tonight, but it was one of those things where it's like, just do it.
There's some days coming into the studio feels more like work than a fun experience.
Yes. And tonight, for whatever reason, it just was feeling like work. And it never turns out that way when the camera starts rolling and we get into talking and stuff. It's just like the introduction phase of like, we both got off work and it's like, all right, let's go back to work.
It's snowing.
It sucks out. Yeah. And I still got to go out and drive after this. So, But anyways, keep on the grind. Keep at it. We're here. We back you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being here for us. And if you want to go an extra step further, hit that subscribe button. And that's all you got to do. That's really all you got to do for us. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And check out our Patreon. There's some videos of Matt working on Camaros.
We're putting videos up. I've been editing hard over here. Okay. Yeah. So
I got some content coming up very soon.
Chris, we still have to do the creep thing, and you got the other
creep
stuff.
Thing. I've got
other
hopefully I have a music video coming out sometime before Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see what happens.
See. I don't know. Yeah, and then
time is short.
10 for 10's got their stuff. So we have a lot going on. Keep on the grind. We're here for you.
Yeah. And
get us out of here.
If you guys like this episode as much as we did, leave a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, click the bell, become part of the notification gang. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Bow. Yeah, definitely doing two.
That's what I figured. Yeah, that's okay.